Yes, that was Percival Winquist, and welcome to our 7th edition from Virtually Yours. Welcome, Zukiswa Wanner, and welcome, Ondjaki. Your floor.
Ondjaki. Thank you very much, Detlef. Hello, Ondjaki. How are you?
I am fine. I was just here. I have a friend here, it's Jessica, and she's trying to interrupt us. But you know, if something happens, I'm so sorry.
Right. And where are you right now?
As we say in Angola,
Country are you
I
in?
am at a secret place.
Okay, comrade. Right. Let's keep on with your secret place in case people get to know where you are and they hunt you down. We're gonna kick off with you doing a little reading from us from your 20-year-old novel. Good morning,
Yes.
comrades. Please
Yes.
take it away.
Okay, I'll read a part where there is this character, the kid, and he's with his aunt. You know, they're sitting in a balcony. It was night, and Aunt Dada and I were talking on the balcony. She was telling me how her holiday in Luanda had been, what she had done, the places she'd visited while I was at school. She was leaving the next morning, and we hadn't spoken for a few days, so we were bringing each other up to date, although, of course, we weren't getting up to day, but up to night. I think this is a joke in English, I don't know. Yes, night has a smell. At least here in Luanda, at my house with this garden, night has a smell. I saw on television that there are some plants that open only at night. I call them bat plants. And I don't know if there are bat plants right here in this garden, but night brings other smells onto this balcony, that's for sure. If what I'm going to say is true, then that night had a hot smell, which could be a thing that a thing where, if you think about it, you put very scarlet roses, boughs of creepers with a pinch of dust, lots of grass, the sound of crickets, the sound of slugs hambling over spittle, the sound of grasshoppers, a single peep of cicadas, a small cactus, green buds, two large banana leaves, and an enormous clump of verbena, and squeeze them all together, and out would come the smell of that night. It smells so good here, my aunt said. That's the bat plants. Which plants are those? They're the plants that prefer to come out at night, like the bats. Oh, she smelled the air. And here there are also bat mosquitoes. Those are the ones that like to bite you at night. That is a part of the book, a tiny part.
Thank you very much. I never get tired of this book, Ondjaki. I tell you that it's every time there's a little innocence and beauty that always comes out every time I read it. And you reading that part, it also highlights, you know, your protagonist is this young boy, but he's got such insights of the politics of the city, of the country. Please just walk us through, you know, I know it's your most autobiographical novel to date. Did you
Yeah.
did you have like a comrade Antonio working for you guys when you were growing up?
We did have this wonderful person, Antonio. I mean, I think he started working at my place with my parents when I think I was a baby. And actually, it was Antonio who told me, who actually started to tell me about this name, Ondjaki. You know, my real name is not Ondjaki, my civil name,
Yes.
it's Ndalu, but my mother wanted to call me Ondjaki. And when I was like 7, I heard that story that I was supposed to be called Ondjaki. And because Ondjaki is a Umbundu word from the southern part, and Antonio was from the south, I went to him and asked, so Comrade Antonio, what does Ondjaki mean? And he was very, not upset, but disturbed. And, you know, and he left and he kept not answering. And I said, please tell me what it is. He said, oh, I can't tell you. But then he finally said, it's something not very nice. You know, it's like a boy who misbehaves with the girls. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, it's unrestful. He's like a warrior, but also a guy. I can't tell you. So that made me think about that name, and then some years later I adopted that name. So that's Antonio, a central figure in our lives, not only mine but my sisters and my parents. And the book, I mean, I use that tone that we, myself and Antonio, used to have, and that's very interesting. We used to talk about colonialism and independence of Angola, but I was a kid. I had 7, 8 years growing up in a country by then 85, 86, a socialist country. And sometimes Antonio, a black gentleman, would say things like defending the Portuguese. And for me, that was very, very upset as a child growing up in that revolution and all. But, we would talk, and my mother told me, you have to respect his opinion. And I told her, yes, I respect his opinion, but, he also has to respect my opinion. And sometimes and that was beautiful, like a young man educated by socialist, communist country. And he himself, an old guy, telling me that, not everything was like I was saying. And for him personally, he had a better life before the independence. And I couldn't understand that. How come that black gentleman was telling me that he had a better life while the Portuguese were occupying our country? And that was the discussion. So I tried to bring that into the book as well as other things. But yes, it's very autobiographical book, of course.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Comrade Antonio's cynicism versus Comrade Joao's hope. And Joao was one of the guys who fought during the war, and already with Antonio, he had worked, and it's crazy because I also see it like here, I see it in other African countries, and so it's not a uniquely Angolan thing. But do you suppose that the child perhaps had, the way I've always read it, I felt maybe the child had certain privileges, and so in having certain privileges, they could then afford to look at this Angola that was at war with a lot of hope, that was at civil war, while Antonio is going back and he's talking about, the roads were cleaner when the Portuguese were here.
And the bread and everything. Yes, I think it might be also that, because I think in the end, there are two things. When people read that book, they see a family who has two people working in that house. And that has a specific context by then, in that time. But it's interesting. For example, Antonio was older, of course, than my parents. My parents met and started dating during the guerrilla fighting time. And João was a kid. When my father met João was a kid in the bases of the MPLA, also grew up as what they call pioneer of the MPLA, and they had to study, even if in the bases were like rural places, they had to study first, and then they will get political and military preparation. So it's 3 generations and 3 different views in that house. I don't think, I was trying to say, I think, yes, we were privileged, not only we as my family, but everyone who lived in Luanda in 86 were privileged because the war was not happening in Luanda. For example, Antonio, he was living in Luanda, but Antonio was from the southern part of the country, from Uambo. Uambo had a terrible episodes for the war. So he was comparing that as well, but he was also comparing, and that is human, he was comparing his own personal situation. He used to tell me that for me, it was better this and that and that. And usually there was one time and I told him, we're not talking about you or me, we are talking about the country. And then he would say like, oh, I see. I said, listen, in your time with your good roads and your bread and you said you had he said bom patrão, like a nice boss, something like that, no? And he said, but you know that a black guy would never be a president. A black person would never be a judge or the president of this country. And then he had nothing to say. So that interested me in real life, and that also interested me in the book, which is, of course, it's the perspective of a child and a grown-up man, but also that thing of the personal lives versus the collective situation. I don't think, and I told this to Antonio when I was a kid, I don't think we should discuss independence. What we can discuss is what we're going to do, what we did, what we're doing after independence. You can say, oh, but this guy is an Angolan president, black president, and he's not doing anything properly. Okay, we can discuss that. For me, what I cannot discuss, it's the place of autonomy, the place of independence of Angola. The rest, I think we should discuss, and I think many mistakes were made.
Thank you. That is quite a bit to think about and ponder about. But perhaps also going there with the president and stuff. One of the things that Dalu does in the book, which I thought was tragicomic, when he's talking with his aunt, and they have to stop the car because the president's motorcade is passing past, and this is comrade president. This is we're equal, you know, but everybody has to stop. And the
equal
aunt
to
doesn't
God.
understand. Yes.
God is passing by.
And the aunt doesn't understand that. And the fact that she has to get out of the car and stand at attention, and she doesn't get that. And and I was thinking about this because indeed in a lot of African countries, we still do have like a lot of motorcades when the president is passing. And but the contrast for me, and I think the child captures it so well, is how, you know, a man of the people is essentially scared of the people. And the irony of that.
There is a sentence, I'm not sure if it's in that book, or sometimes I have another books with short stories, and those short stories, they kind of come out of this book of Good Morning Comrades. I don't remember if it's in this one or in the short stories, but someone asks the kid, that the main character, so did you see the president? And he says something like, no, the president was far away from the people. And of course, I did that intentionally. I mean, the kid is just answering, no, I did not, because he was far away from the people.
Distance,
yeah, away
but it's
as
also
in,
double intent.
And that, of course, it's not the kid, it's the author, you know, and that's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to say, yes, it was amazing how I think they were trying in the 80s to do amazing things, even with the so-called African socialism. But we all do mistakes, of course. Every system in capitalism, communism, all the systems have mistakes, but some mistakes are very bad and very strong mistakes, you know. And for me, when I see now a movie about Thomas Sankara or other guys, I think there are differences. The way they were, and even Thomas Sankara, in the end, they're all trying to, you know, it's a bit an-African, unfortunately, it's an African behavior. It's different, for example, in Uruguay with President Mujica, you know, he's not afraid of the people. He's not afraid of going out and talking to the people. He's just not afraid because he didn't do anything wrong. So maybe, you know, it's going to be criticized. But, you know, in Africa, it's such a, you know, in the beginning, you try to talk, and then it's such a place of God, such a distance in terms of, that was actually, I kind of exaggerated that in the book, because of course, anyone visiting Luanda in the 80s, someone would tell you, listen, here, if the president comes, you get out of the car and you do like that and you wait for him to go. So she probably knew. I just did that, you know, in order to explain the absurd of doing that. I mean, I think the president is going by and you have to stop your car to let him through. I think that's normal. I don't see a problem in that. He has, you know, he's the president and probably he has something to do. But the way it was and the way and how dangerous it was to stay in the car, that for me, it's an absurd that I wanted to, to put in the book. I think now, to highlight. Right now, I think we see some of those episodes as exotic episodes, I think. I mean, for a guy in Canada or in Germany, if he sees that, he reads like an exotic thing. But for me, it's not exotic. And even now in Luanda, it's not so strong. But if the president is passing by, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
snipers
All right.
everywhere and stuff.
The other thing that always makes me laugh when I read Good Morning Comrade is the little episode with the school where the students are told that there's going to be a surprise visitor by the inspector, but you need to clean up and whatever because there's going to be a surprise.
A surprise.
You know?
And when is the surprise happening? Next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're going to have a surprise.
We're going to have a
That
surprise.
was beautiful.
So make sure you come with clean clothes. It's beautiful because then Petra
that's a
says,
compliment
well,
to our, it's the African socialism again. It's beautiful, no? It's the word
really?
Surprise becomes a joke, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
is it
was
really a
something
surprise
like that.
when we know what date?
Yeah, it's kind of, it used to happen like that, either that or sometimes a minister or sometimes just an inspector or sometimes someone important. We would know, you know, it would be like an organized surprise, an unexpected event. I think that is beautiful that the teacher said so, and we all call it a visita sorpresa, the surprise visit. You know, it's always, no one says the visit, no, it's the surprise. So when is the surprise happening? And she also would say, so if he or she makes a question and, you know, no one says anything, and I will say, who wants to answer? And if it's history, it's you. If it's maths, it's Petra. If it's physics, it's so who wants to answer? And like, maths, I want to answer. So that was beautiful, you know, that is fiction overthrowing, you know, our reality, but actually fiction was being written by reality in the whole continent, I guess.
Yeah. Right. The other thing that you do is
Jessica, just one moment. We're live here. So sorry, Jessica is trying to interrupt me. Please.
To interrupt you. The idea of time, the concept of time. You show this, and you've done. It's not this only in Morning Comrades that you've highlighted that. You have highlighted it even in the short story that we're working with, and in another text.
Yes, time bothers me. Yeah, time.
Angolans and time. How it's like, okay, 20 minutes, but it's not 20 minutes. You know. Are you subbing all of us because it's all over the continent?
It's I think time, you know, there was this I had this when I was 11, 12. I used to stay in the same bedroom. I mean, we had separate bedrooms, myself and my grandmother, but for 2 years we used to sleep together as in the same bed.
Yes, I know what you mean.
For those 2 years, she would tell me stories like until 2 a.m. or something like that, right? So, but it kept changing because when I was 12, then I was 13, then I was 14, then I was 17, I was coming back to Luanda, I was studying in Portugal, and she would, you know, adapt a little bit the whole thing. And there was one time, and we were talking about something, an episode that had happened with a friend of hers that, you know, my grandmother was, I was about to say a great liar. No, she was a great storyteller. So she had these friends, and she said that she used to live in a neighborhood, which we know, you know, it's impossible, that whenever somebody marries, if you have a name of a flower like Margarida or Rose, you know, Rosa, Rose, if the woman marrying in that neighborhood had the name of the flower, they would fill the whole neighborhood with that flower. You know, that was, you know, what she believed that happened, and she told me so. So once she was telling me this story for the 7th time, and she made a mistake about the year. She said something, oh, this happened in 1956. And because I was memorizing everything, I said, excuse me, Grandma, this was not 1956. It was, I think it was 67, right? When she got married with, and she got very serious because I was already now 18 or 21. And she said, it doesn't matter the time as in, you know, that time. Yeah, what matters, she told me that what matters is
that it happened.
The flowers, the smell of the flowers, and how people reacted to the flowers. So in that moment, I started losing track of time in terms of you know, not in my life. I tried to maintain that, but in terms of literature, I understood. She wanted to tell me time time is very, very relative and subjective. You can just twist it, no? So yeah, it's time. It's just any instrument as any other, like color, texture. It doesn't matter. This story, Good Morning Comrades, it's different stories. I put it all in the same scholar year, like at the school from September to June. But these things happen in different moments, of course.
I guess which brings us to the Cuban comrades. You know, what's too often unsung in when we talk about you know, socialism and our continent and whatever, is actually, particularly in Southern Africa, the role of Cuba in both Angola and Namibia and even South Africa's history, and you have these children who are very upset, and this obviously this Cuban comrades as well who are getting who are eating a strawberry compote, and it's like the most amazing thing to them because they didn't have it in Cuba, but they're also like there as comrades and revolutionaries. A little bit about that, you know, with your life.
It's
and growing up that time.
For me personally, it's very important, of course. One of the things I wanted to tell you before about this autobiographical way of writing some stories is that I found out that when I say autobiographical, I don't mean just me. I mean the kids from my street, the guys from for me, it's not I have 17 or 19 grandmothers. So when I say, oh, is this your grandmother? I said, I have so many grandmothers. So the stories, they come together. So for a group of people, a group of kids, these Cuban teachers were very important. I was listening to you about the strawberry jam, is it, or
a strawberry compote? Yeah,
compote. Yeah, and I was thinking it's interesting that it was important for them that, you know, that taste, that sweet taste, something that they didn't have. It was important for us in a way. We also like that, but they were passing to us something deeper and much more important than the strawberry, you know, the knowledge, affection. They were not talking about communism or socialism that many times as people tend to think. You know, people think, oh, and they were there telling you, no, they didn't do that. Not that way, not that way. It was very, very complex. But what I wanted to say is that it's so hard to understand, and it's so complex, the process of the Cubans arriving into Angola, the way they came, why they stayed there, the way the Angolans invited them to stay, the way Angolans were involved in the Namibian fight for independence, the way that in Angolan constitution in 1975, in our constitution, it's written that we had to help Namibia to get its independence. In the constitution, it is not a document or a resolution, in the constitution. So this is a country that took very serious the surroundings of you know, and the brothers fighting for independence. And the, not independence, the occupation of the apartheid regime in Namibia. So when people say, so the Cubans, were they good or bad? Were they nice or not nice? And I said, listen, you cannot talk about such a complex process in terms of 1 or 0. It's not like that. And I respect people who say, oh, the Cubans came here and did this and did that. I respect that. But I ask people to respect my perspective, where the Cubans that I met, my teachers, the doctors that I met, they were wonderful people. I cannot lie, you know. There are implications, there are political implications. For example, a kid in Huambo or in Cunene, the southern part of Angola, who was under a region under the influence of UNITA. Would that kid love the Cuban soldiers? Probably not. Cuban soldiers are attacking, bombing, and like, you know, they were fighting with the MPLA side. So it's a different perspective. But I try to talk about something bigger than myself and the Cubans, or the Cubans and them. It's the presence of the Cubans there in a certain way for a certain moment. I think it was very interesting what they did. And I'm not talking about political terms. I'm talking about these two guys that I met, Angel and Maria, my teachers. the way they were giving themselves to this group, you know that story that they called us, they in that week that the government in Angola, they would announce that the Cubans would leave. They called us 2 days before. I don't think maybe it was a Sunday or a Saturday, just to tell us in a very tender way that they were leaving the country. Like, we don't want you to know by the news or through the news, the TV news. I think that was amazing, and it's just a tiny thing, but life is made of tiny things.
Little tiny incidences, absolutely. But I think particularly in this conversation, because you are actually quite generous with your experience of the Cubans in Luanda. But then there's not really but it was very sweet, because you can see the impact, the way they talk to the children, the way they when the children do certain things, the way they tell them, how the children essentially don't want to disappoint these teachers, rather than anything else. And then contrast that with the beach where the Russians are, where this young boy tells his aunt that, no, we can't go to the beach because that particular side of the beach is owned by the Russians, and the aunt says, what do you mean? What do you mean only the Russians can go to that part of the ocean? And he says, well, maybe there's an Angolan beach in Russia,
Yeah. That, I was, when I was writing the book, I finished writing the book, and this auntie of mine, Tia Dada, she's my father's sister, she read the book and she said, you didn't include 2 important episodes in the book. And I said, which episodes? I didn't remember, and she did. So she told me the story of the potatoes, that I had asked her to bring potatoes from Portugal to Luanda. And also that story from the beach. I didn't remember. She told me, don't you remember when we went to the beach where the Soviets were? I said, no. And I wanted to go there. And so, so I told her I didn't remember that. But I think it is amazing that a child, me or any other, would have this thought, maybe, they have a beach here, so we have a beach there. So it's kind of a perfect world. No, maybe they have a beach here because we also, and she was like, oh man, no, you don't have a beach in Russia for sure.
Russia.
Yeah, no, you don't have anything there. We didn't like them as kids. We didn't like the Russians that much as kids. I'm just saying, as kids, we felt that they were, I mean, I remember that. I remember thinking that in general, in general, I thought they were racist, and they didn't like Angolans, especially the black Angolans. But that was our perspective as kids. And so I think it reflects a little bit in the book. There was this lady, she's a Russian lady. And, when I published this book, and she said, oh, it's very sad the way you're picturing the Russians
way you
in
portrayed
your books.
Russians.
And I said, I'm so sorry. It's not personal. I'm trying to represent more than one person. It's not just me. As kids, I remember talking at school. That was the idea we had about the Russians. Worry not. It's a perspective. It's a thing from the 80s. It will go away someday.
I know. This is in Kenya, and this is certainly in Zimbabwe, and a few countries that I've stayed in. And you also highlighted in Angola, where the aunt wants to take a photograph and she can't take a photograph because this is like a national point. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever lived anywhere where you could take photos everywhere?
Yes, but it was very strange for me. And that was when I was studying in Lisbon. I had a tiny camera. And I remember always asking people in the street, so can I take a picture from you? And people were like, is this guy drunk or what? In Portugal. And then in the beginning, more than people, passing by people, I wanted to talk to the police. If they said, yes, you can, I didn't believe them. I waited for a police to come and said, excuse me, sir, do you know if I can take a picture of this building? And he would like say, yes, of course. Ah, okay, now I can. So that was in the beginning. And then in Rio, in Brazil, you can also take pictures because, you know, it's a city full of tourists. No one asks you, why are you doing? Why are you taking pictures? In Rwanda, it got better, but you still have to be careful because it's the law. Institutions and governmental institutions and the police, I guess, and the army, you cannot. But the thing is that sometimes you don't know that behind this building, there's a military building and you're just doing a picture and, you know, but it's better. In Rwanda, it's better. The 80s were just terrible.
No, I hear what you,
in terms
what
of
you
pictures.
mean. I actually got into a space where I had to like pretend I was from another country when I was taking photographs in a place.
Yes, sometimes it works. You just,
You know?
je ne sais pas. Yeah, sometimes it works.
You know? Let
But
me
in
see
Angola,
whether
when you
is...
try the je ne sais pas, first you get slapped. That's the first je ne sais pas. Before saying je ne sais pas, you already got slapped. But it's...
There's a question here.
Yes.
And this is from Sakiru. And Sakiru wants to know, they're interested in the politics of race in Angola. I have just started reading Angolan literature and I've noticed how the writers often use the Portuguese, Angolan, colonized label rather than the racial white-black label. How do you, Ondjaki, situate yourself in Angola's racial landscape?
Okay.
He is also interested in, yeah, so
I didn't get it. Yeah, it's
okay. So the politics of race in Angola.
Yes.
They've just started reading Angolan literature and they've noticed how writers often use Portuguese, Angolan, colonized label rather than racial, black-white label. How do So how do you situate yourself in that?
So is that a way of saying? Is that what she says? It's a way of saying that label colonized instead of white black. Is that it? Or
yeah, like no. So for instance, you know, like when you write in Good Morning Comrades, which is what we're discussing here, or even your other works, you make a reference to the Portuguese and the Angolans, whereas in a place like South Africa or in Namibia would make a mention to black people and white people.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's yes. I think it's different from country to country. I observed that since I was a kid, the way we talk about black culture, the place of the black men and women, black people, it's different. For example, if you go to Brazil or United States, there it's more similar. But it's also interesting that the absence of the so-called strong discussion about white versus black, etc., meant for a while that we had the issue not solved, but you know, our independence was made in a way. Well, the political groups fighting for the independence, they were already mixed. It was not an independence made only by black people, but it was made for the black people. So it was very clear that when the independence came in Angola, whoever was mixed or white could stay there. In Luanda, it's a very specific case because if you wanted to stay there, you had to belong to MPLA. No one would tell you that, but it was easier if you belong to MPLA. At least you should not say, I am from UNITA, but I want to stay here. I am from FNLA, but I want to stay here. Just, you know, don't say anything. But if you are from the MPLA, it was easier. Why am I saying that? Because within the MPLA, and for example, the first president, Agostinho Neto, his wife was a white Portuguese woman. So it's not, so for us, yes, I think that sometimes it's more important if you are Angolan or not Angolan. It's not that you will always talk about, oh, these are black Angolans, because there are so many people, there are some, not so many in terms of the general population, no. But in terms of other African countries, there is a high number of people, not black people, that always fought for Angola and that they simply consider themselves to be Angolans. So it is a big issue in Angola, not so easy to explain. I think it's a she, it's Sikura, it's a she or a he. This person,
I'm not.
I think she or he has to come to Angola and see, and we will talk about that, because it's very hard to explain. It's not about the label. For example, you would say, oh, but in Brazil, they discuss it very openly and they're talking about Black culture. Yes, because Brazil is a little bit late in terms of respecting the place of the Black culture in Brazil. So they are fighting more aggressively for the spot. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think it's a mess in terms of it's because it's very hard to explain. Sometimes the discussion goes via the word race. Sometimes the discussion goes via the tone of your skin. Sometimes it's a mix between ethnic place, pertença, ethnic placement, and skin. And you know, it's very hard to explain because it's a very specific situation. It's not the same situation as in Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria. I think we in Mozambique, the so-called ex-colonies from Portugal, I think we have a specific situation because of the mixture that there was. Cape Verde, for example, Cabo Verde, among the 5 countries that were colonized by the Portuguese, Cape Verde has something, I think it's very beautiful, because in Cape Verde, they really have this thing about being Cape Verdean. It has nothing to do with the tone of your skin. It has to do with your commitment and the fact that you speak and want to speak Criollo, and not only Portuguese. They use Portuguese for the radio and TV, and they use Criollo. Even you or me, if we get there for 3 months and we start speaking Criollo, what they want, and they will tell that we are Cape Verdean already. So it's another kind of but is there racism in Angola? Of course. I don't know any country in the world that, you know, the racism is not present right now. But I think, for example, in terms of the aggressive modes or scandalous modes, if we can say so, of racism are much higher in Brazil. And that is very sad, because Brazil had an independence many years before Angola. But that's the thing that they're discussing right now. Did they really have an independence process, you know?
All right. The other part, well, of the question, I don't think it's, you know, I think you already answered it. It seems Angolan literatures, Ondjaki, Agualusa, as much as I know, have helped to keep the memory of the Civil War alive. And of course, I've just finished translating. I'm about to publish Yara in English, and yeah, and so like with you and Agualusa, I do see the MPLA type of thing, and on the politics of Luanda, and with her, I see when she's doing the politics of Wambo, for instance, you know, with a book, and but do you think this is something that the government, the commentator suggests that the MPLA-led government is attempting to repress the memories. Do you think this is the case? I personally don't.
I can hardly say so. In terms of literature, no. There are things. There are a few episodes that MPLA was trying for a long time ago to silence more than erase, to silence. Episodes like the attempt of coup d'etat in 77, in May 77, which is a big, sad, tragic episode we had in Angola in 77. But no. The MPLA is not. People from the government in general, they don't read enough. There's no such a thing like, oh, let's erase this guy. No, unfortunately, there are not that many people reading, active readers in Angola. It's getting better, of course, because, you know, it's changing the population. But the books are expensive, and the priority was not given to education, as in, you know, one thing is the schools, rebuilding schools and having building so-called schools. The other thing is rebuilding the quality of those schools, the quality of the teachers. In my opinion, that has not happened yet. You know, the new schools, new universities, air conditioners and computers, but it's still, it's like when you say, oh, we have a democracy because every 4 years people go and vote.
We do.
Well, that's a democratic participation. Democracy would be everything, you know, participating, listening to people when they complain. It's a different process. Exactly. Yeah.
I hear you. No, and I agree with you that I don't think that there can be repression when people in leadership are not reading anyway, because
yeah, it's not necessary.
You probably would have been arrested for transparent city if,
but you know, no, because there are worse things than worse in terms of for them. You know, Pepetela is writing aggressive things in terms of reality. Agualusa somehow, but it's different voices in different places. Pepetela, and I'm living there now. When you live inside the country, they react more. When you live outside the country, they don't care. And Transparent City, it was a little bit papapi, and so it was. I had, but nothing serious, nothing really. It was. They don't care about books. No.
Yeah, they probably would care more if it was music.
People and articles, a specific article in a big newspaper, that is more dangerous than a great book, great writing. No, because they know that 500 guys gonna read these, and you know, we have 30 million people, so it's okay. 500 people, it's like a comma.
Indeed. Right. Are there any other questions? We are almost coming to an end.
Can I maybe just say who's joining us today, because we are also again very, very international.
We are.
We have people from London. We have people joining from the Independent Republic of Brixton, from Burundi, from Joburg, from Nairobi, from Uganda, from Nigeria. TJ, my friend, how are you? From Belém, Brazil, and of course from Namibia.
Okay, we are very international. So no one from Angola.
No one from Angola.
I mean, maybe
there's no.
See, that's it.
But maybe there's no Wi-Fi in Angola at the moment. Maybe there's no electricity.
But I know there is. I know there is somebody in Namibia, actually from Angola, and would like to join. I'm not sure because I don't know the name, and I don't know if she's live. But Angolan people in Namibia are interested in virtually yours.
Okay. Now also sometimes in English, but you know, some people come. But it's a very specific process to get into the platform. So maybe it's also that. But thank you very much for the invitation.
Right. I am now at the fun part of this program. Well, I mean, the whole conversation has been fun because you have so much fun to talk to. Wait, before I do this fun part, I also wanted to check. You are going to be part of Afro Lit Shorts, which I'm very excited about. And how's that going? No pressure.
The writing? Oh.
Yes.
No, it's very interesting. What Zux is talking about, it's a kind of a long short story, right? That is going to come up in the format, in the audio format. Is that it?
Yes, yeah, that's it.
It's very interesting, Zux, because the way sometimes the editors and yourself and other editors that work in the English Anglophone, super Anglophone world, the way you edit stories, it's different from the way we do. And for me, it's great. I mean, I learn some of the things I can follow and I can attend. Some of them, it's always the same questions. Usually from Canada, from United States, people would ask, so why is it not there? Why is it not clear who is this and who did that? and I think it's cultural. It's beautiful, you know, that some of the things that other cultures miss, we don't miss, and vice versa, or sometimes we explain more. So it's been a challenge. It has been a challenge. It's been a challenge, and I think in more 2 or 3 days, and we will have the work done for sure.
Oh, fantastic. I look forward to it. Now we're going to do a draw. We've got 5 copies of Good Morning Comrades, first published in 2001. So 20 years old now, and has been translated into many languages. So Portuguese, French, English, Spanish.
I think Spanish, Croatian.
Yeah. So and somebody asked
also,
what the age range is. The age range really, I think it's anybody from 12 onwards would be able to get that book and understand.
It's also in German.
Yeah.
There was also a question where you can get the copy in Joburg. I don't know if you answered that already.
Oh, all right. If you want, I think the best thing to do in Joburg is actually just order from a bookseller, your favorite bookseller. You order them, and then they'll do an order in Canada, because the English version comes from Canada, and then they'll send it through. That's how I got the copies that I am giving away. Anyway. So
I'm thinking of doing English versions even of this book in our Angolan publishing house. I think it's good to have English and French because of the continent, you know, and we'll just distributing from there.
That would be absolutely great, because you know, you've got a friend who's a publisher who's talking to you, and she would love to distribute it.
Yes, so I think she will. Yeah, I'll talk to her. Okay.
All right.
And Christy asked if maybe in Italian is there translation?
Yes,
in Italian?
yes, there is. Buongiorno compagni. Buongiorno compagni. Yes, it's available in Italy.
You know, Audrey Brown hasn't been able to come on the thing. Finally today she comes, and she is our first winner. Audrey, are you around?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations. You get the first copy of Good Morning Comrades.
Oh, you have there the names and the okay. Yes. Oh, that was it. I thought it was wine, but it's people you have inside the glass. I thought it was white wine.
No, that's what she's drinking.
She's drinking people instead of wine. I see.
Our second winner is Mpomabala here. Mpomabala.
Unfortunately not.
Okay, Mpo is not there. Next winner. Tafadwa Choto, you say you wanted a book. It looks like you have just one. Tafadwa.
Thank you.
All right. 2 winners. 2 more to go.
Tafadwa, what does your name mean? It's very beautiful. Am I saying correctly? Tafadwa?
Yeah. Tafadwa means we've been given joy.
Wow.
In Shona.
Okay. Tafadwa.
Next person is Truth Smith here.
No.
Truth Smith.
Unfortunately not.
Okay, all right. Still going for the third winner.
I think
Funny Monkey.
Funny. Say it again.
Funny Monkey. Funny Monkey. Fanie. Last name Mankge. No.
Nope. No.
Funny Monkey is not there. Oh, okay.
Don't do that, Ondjaki.
It's not Funny Monkey. I understood Funny Monkey.
Yes, I know. Gisela Silva.
Yes, she was
I
there.
thought I saw Gisela earlier.
Yeah.
Gisela, still with us? Okay, but you're not
she's there. Yeah, she's there. She's there.
Gisela, are you here?
Yes.
Maybe she has no sound.
Oh, okay. Because you know we oh, there's Gisela. Yes, we see you. Yeah. All right, there you are. All right, 4th winner.
So she has no microphone, she said, yeah.
Fourth winner is Luella Miller. Luella Miller?
Yes, she's also there, or she was there. I don't know if she is still there, but
Luella Miller?
yeah, she's there.
Oh,
They're writing.
congratulations. Sakiru, the criterion for winning is somebody just sends, when you register, we put your name in a cup, and
Okay.
and then you
No,
win.
but
Now for the last winner.
Zukiswa, I saw she was there very long time. A long time she followed us. So I don't know.
No,
she's
there's
there.
Luena.
She's there.
She is here. Yeah.
She's writing.
So
She's
final-
writing there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before you draw the fifth name, there are also people from Portugal. I forgot Gisela
Yes.
is from Portugal as well.
Our final winner is Norman Lovu here. Norman Lovu. Is Norman Lovu here?
Nope.
Okay, Norman Lovu is not here. We have a chance to get another person's name.
Ndalo Dalmeida.
Casey Bucci. Casey.
Oh, Casey the Butcher. Yes, I remember Casey the Butcher. There's a long story about Jessica. We are live now.
Nope.
Please. We're alive.
We remember Casey the Butcher, yes. All right, fine. Let me still going on for that last person.
The glass of wine. She's taking people out of a glass of wine.
Is it
Marta Garish? Is Marta Garish here? Marta Garish?
No.
Nope. Okay, all right.
Wow,
Is Degwa here? I haven't seen Degwa the whole time.
Degwa is not there today. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Spelele Ndlovu. Spelele Ndlovu.
It's not the Dr. Ndlovu, no. It's not Dr. Ndlovu.
It is your Dr. Ndlovu.
Oh,
yeah.
Dr. Ndlovu.
Yes, Spelele Ndlovu, are you here? Dr. Ndlovu?
No.
No.
Oh,
okay, all right.
God. Dr.
That's a
Ndlovu,
pity.
Dr. Ndlovu. I
Imagine
know.
that.
Don Palazzo.
Emma Shackley. Emma, you still here? I saw you earlier.
Yeah, she should be there. Yeah.
Yay! Finally, I win.
Yes.
And you took 7 out of the way first before we, Emma.
Oh my
Very well.
God, I can now relax. Hey, cool. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations, Emma.
Thank you.
And Luena, and Gisela, and Tafadwa, and Audrey.
Did the butcher?
Congratulations, all 5 of you.
Didn't the butcher was not here?
The butcher was not here.
Oh, okay.
But
if you come back here laughing,
maybe
they might be.
Yeah, no, and Jessica was not there today. In the meanwhile, I was Googling about Jessica and NBC, and it popped up immediately. So I don't know. I don't know about the news in Namibia. How do you know in South Africa and Angola what's happening with Jessica in Namibia?
Oh.
It's very fun, and it's getting popular in Angola as well. They're doing adaptations of that story as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Olha, Gisela says she wants to donate.
No, South Africa already did the very next day.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic. Gisela, who would you like to donate to? Should I pick up another name? Gisela, shall I pick up another name from my cup here?
Jessica.
Right.
Só ver ali uma
Hilda, are you still here?
Yes,
I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you are getting the donated copy from Gisela.
Thank you, Gisela.
Okay, so I will send the 5 winners. I will send you emails just to get your addresses, and we can mail the books to you. Congratulations, everybody. And Detlef, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I thank you, Zukiswa, and thank you very much, Ondjaki, for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
conversation. I got a lot of positive comments. A lot of people enjoyed it and still doing so. And yeah, as you know, we finish our virtually yours always with a small music clip so that you can relax, lay back and think about the conversation for a few minutes, just to say bye and uh, um, cut the online
Yeah.
conversation.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, pleasure. Next
Thank
time.
you, Zukiswa.
Next time, maybe
Pleasure.
Zukiswa, you can maybe tell
Comrades.
before I switch on the music what's coming up next.
Oh yes, guys. Coming up next is we have from Sierra Leone. We have the Little Family, Ishmael Bear's latest novel. So yeah, Sierra Leone is next on our platform.
Wow,
And
great.
that will be second Saturday of July, as always.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us. To finish our virtually yours number 7, you will hear now another Namibian group G3 with the Oshiwambo song Olupanda.
Andondalinde shinde shinga shingeri Anzo shakala shingini Andonda kalele nangwe efimo Iringa shinge yokwatoka Shisha fiwapo Oma viladilo Arrête
yalo na tango inakutoka omwa wanje ishewe ompito.
So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.